Hello ATLTF and YouTube and wherever else I post this. It's Jack9102 here, and well, first video I ever posted on the forum, I guess. First real project I had, actually. This is my 82 Craftsman LT11 Murray badge, or rather Craftsman badge Murray, 11 horse Briggs, Peerless 814 5-speed trans. I'm sure you guys know all about this thing if you've been following the build thread. But guess I'm making this video just to give you guys a better look at it. If the pictures haven't done enough justice, I guess this video should help out. I'm kind of stuck in my puny back of the garage kind of workshop at the moment, and it's already starting to get dark out. So hopefully this video turns out. But yeah, I guess let's get started. So the current state of this tractor, I guess, as it sits right now, best way to describe would be just after I get put the transaxle back in it, I put it all back together after reinforcing the frame, just so I could roll it around and have it as a complete unit, not cluttering up the back of my Tundra. I got some other parts for it. I've removed others. I've removed the dual engine pulley that's got the blade drive and the wheel drive on it. Wheel drive on this engine stock is 3-inch, to where the outside edge of the belt runs. Blade drive is 4.5, but that's not very important. This engine has a stepped diameter crankshaft, so it's got 7/8 and 1 inch. The drive pulley running 7/8 inch. Transmission, like a lot of them, is 5/8. This is my stock 8-inch pulley. Looks a bit better on that side. This is the side you're used to seeing from the pictures. All of these ripping and tearing marks are from, welding on a homemade puller idea, which was basically a bunch of really big washers, a nut and a bolt and a bunch of little nuts. That didn't work out too good, so I ended up just smashing the pulley off of the hub. The hub in my homemade puller is still welded to the end of the input shaft, but like I said, I just put it together so I could move it around. I'll be buying a new input shaft so I can just yank the old one out after splitting the transaxle, and that should make life a lot easier afterwards. Not having to worry about the shaft being rusty or the bearings failing, because I'll also be replacing the input and output shaft bearings, those being the outer axle shaft bearings. I guess from the picture before you saw that this wheel here on the right side had some play. I don't know if you can still see it, but I pick up the tractor and basically the wheel stays on the ground for about 1 inch. Tires are good, they all hold air. I guess I'll be keeping these on for a while. These are Armstrong multi-track, I believe. The fronts are 15 by 6 by 6, and the rears are 20 by 8 by 8, I'm pretty sure. I'll double check that later, and well, leave some text in the video in the post. Yeah, multi-track, 20 by 8 by 8. Yeah. None of them have tubes. They're all in good shape. They still got the hairs on the side. I'll be hanging on to these for a while. Seats in not too bad shape. Seen some better days. It's a bit dry and crackly on the corners, but supports my ass just fine, so I'll be leaving that. Springs are good. Chassis is good so far. I mean, the worst damage to the chassis has got to be these cracks here on these the back mount bolts for the fender section. Let's take a look under the hood. So here we've got your standard run-of-the-mill 11 horse Briggs, synchro balanced, 400cc, no airbox, half decent muffler. Slight problem with this engine since I got it. There is no governor spring linkage thing behind this metal plate where it belongs. So when you move that where your cable connects, when you move that little thing there, it doesn't rev up and down. It doesn't do anything. There's no spring back there. and the little arm that moves behind it doesn't seem to be in sync with anything, so even if I were to throw a spring of the proper length from my selection on the bench, it still won't rev up properly. So I'll probably have to buy a new one of those or find one off of another scrap engine somewhere. I think I've got a blown up 8 horse 319 at my grandparents' place. I could probably check that out. But chassis is pretty clean now. I pressure washed it after I welded it, so all the grease is out of there. Everything's all nice. You can see from the pictures as well, all the weld penetration. Came out pretty good. I think those welds are going to hold strong. There's no oil dipstick on this engine, and I can explain why. Firstly, the original oil dipstick setup was zip tied to a piece of all-around steel strapping full of holes. And I know the lighting sucks, I'm terribly sorry. So there's just a regular plastic Briggs lawnmower oil screw-in plug there, just behind the alternator connection. There's no wiring harness on it right now, that's still off because I'm making a new one. So I've just got I found that a standard plastic, oil screw plug would thread in there no problem, so that's my oil setup. I fill that to the top and that's the right oil level, so it works for me. I prefer it. Rather than the dipstick, you just add it till it's there. You don't have to keep checking and screwing around and overfilling. And headlights both work, I guess you've seen from the photos. It looks like they're just held in by bendable steel tabs, which I'll probably be just removing those reflectors completely and putting in some LEDs or something. LEDs are usually the choice for a lawn tractor since they don't draw much power and they mount very easily and they don't need a reflector assembly. So that's pretty much what's lined up for this. I guess I could give you a list of mods so far. Frame reinforcements, clutch improvements, that being a heavier spring, and in due time, my pulley setup and my transaxle will be slightly beefed, slightly improved. I've already removed all the deck drive nonsense. It never did come with a deck, but it still had the deck height lever and all that other nonsense. All the safety switches have been removed. Brake components have also been removed. The brake actuating rod, that's all going to be changed over to a handbrake. Most likely using parts of this blade height lever. All the bushings and pieces of that are in the bucket. What else do I have here? This is the 6-inch pulley I picked up at my local Princess Auto for, I don't know, 12, 14 bucks. Stupid expensive, but had money at the time, so there it is. It just has a hole in the center, made for standard, any machine belt. And I have to buy a hub with a 7/8 hole in the center of it so that I can put the hub on my engine crankshaft and weld the pulley to the hub. So that's going to be the engine end of it, and I'm just going to get a cast aluminum, like a furnace blower motor style pulley for the transaxle. I have some other from past projects that have never been documented on ATLTF. I've got a 2-inch aluminum pulley there with a 5/8 hole in it. That came off of a rear engine wheelie machine. And we've got an adjustable 3 1/4 furnace blower type pulley. Over here I have my front tranny mount, which kind of the only bad side of this build so far. I forgot to mark out where my angle iron had to be cut out to fit this in. So I'm putting the chassis back together and I find there's no bolt hole for this. I can't find a place to mount it. And the transmission on this is only held in by 2 U-bolts, one on each side. So I'm surprised it's not falling down on the front because they're a bit front heavy, these transaxles. But it's in there and I can roll it around no problem. And that's, I guess, about it for now. Guess I could give you a quick shop tour. It's just a little, I guess it's about 10 by 20 foot. No, not even that much. Maybe 8 by 15 or something. Back room built onto the back of my garage. the sister's car. 2-car garage. This is the room on the back. Got a bunch of shelves on one side, workbench, tunage, top storage, just 200-watt bulbs in the ceiling. My 88 MTD Snowflight snowblower, which needs a impeller shaft bearing. Thank God, winter's over. Project air compressor, needs a capacitor. My old school snap-on toolbox. Just a random stack of friggin' lumber that we'll have to be leaving soon because it's really, you know, cramping things up in here. If that lumber were out of here, I'd have room for another tractor. Battery charger, battery, the main air compressor. Can't really see it, but it's a Campbell Hausfeld 2-stage over the tank cast iron type thing. Anyway, got some other random parts in here. I got an overhead valve MTD engine here. One of those Chinese push mower engines. Got my trusty Lincoln Weld Pack 100, the famed welder used by Fearless Front for just about all of his builds. That's the one I've had forever too. I do have an argon tank for it, but all I ever run into is flux core. The welds on this were made with a Miller-Matic 220 or something like that. I don't remember. The school's welder anyway. Got the stock belt over here. That won't be much use. I'll measure it out, but won't really matter. It's pretty well worn out anyway. Probably going in the garbage. Probably be using Doc Sprocket's method for measuring the right belt. Might even use that one and his trusty zip tie method. This is the oil dipstick that I took out here. That's the rubber grommet that the dipstick tube pushes into, and it's got threads on the bottom of it. Those threads are the same type used on the plastic plugs. So I don't know, check that out. If you got one of these flathead motors, check out that grommet. You might be able to just use a plastic plug. I got a ton of them. Random Briggs parts. Got a rotating assembly out of a 3-horse. Cams, intake manifolds, stupid stuff. Other assorted junk. It's really cramped in here when I got everything in here hiding from the winter that came back today. We got about 1.5 inches of snow today. When it had been about 65 to 70 degrees during the day and sunny, then we get snow overnight. But anyway, that's about it. Keep my fluids and shit on the floor. Oils on the wall. Stolen exit sign. Alright, that's about it.